Welcome back to our podcast. Today we are joined by Elena, a polyglot who has mastered 5 languages in under a decade. Elena, many learners feel completely overwhelmed when they first encounter a new grammar system. How do you tackle that initial feeling of frustration?
That's a great question. I think the biggest mistake people make is expecting perfection from day one. When I started learning Mandarin, for instance, the tones were incredibly daunting. Instead of obsessing over perfect pronunciation immediately, I focused on high-frequency vocabulary and basic sentence structures. You have to accept that making mistakes is an essential part of the cognitive process. If you aren't making errors, you aren't actually testing your limits.
So, you advocate for a quantity over quality approach in the beginning? That sounds counterintuitive to many traditional classroom methods.
Not exactly. It's more about building momentum. Traditional methods often prioritize accuracy, which can lead to a fear of speaking. I prefer immersion. I listen to podcasts, watch movies with subtitles, and most importantly, I engage in conversations where the goal is communication rather than grammatical precision. Once you gain a bit of confidence, then you can fine-tune the details. It's about building a foundation first.
That's a very practical perspective. It's about psychological resilience as much as it is about linguistic ability. I'm sitting here with Master Kale, a renowned calligrapher who transitioned from software engineering to fine arts. Master Kale, the discipline required to master a craft like calligraphy seems immense. How did you manage such a drastic career shift while maintaining your progress?
It wasn't as sudden as it appeared. I spent years practicing in the early hours of the morning before my coding job began. I applied the same logical framework from programming to my brushwork, understanding the structure, the flow, and the rhythm. However, the emotional component was entirely new. In coding, a mistake is a bug to be fixed. In calligraphy, a mistake is a part of the character of the stroke. You must learn to flow with the error.
That is a profound way to look at it. So, you view setbacks not as failures, but as unique characteristics of your work?
Precisely. When you learn a new skill, you are essentially retraining your brain and your nervous system. It requires immense patience. There were months where I felt I was stagnating, making no progress at all. But then, suddenly, a certain movement would become instinctive. Mastery is not a straight line. It is a series of plateaus followed by sudden leaps in ability. You must embrace the plateau.
Embracing the plateau, that's a mantra every learner should live by. Thank you for sharing your wisdom, Master Kale. Our final guest today is a tech entrepreneur, Sarah, who has developed several AI-driven learning platforms. Sarah, with the rise of artificial intelligence, many people fear that traditional learning will become obsolete. What is your take on this?
I actually believe the opposite. AI won't replace learning, it will personalize it. In a traditional classroom, a teacher has to cater to 30 different students at once, which is nearly impossible to do perfectly. But with AI, a student can have a personalized curriculum that adapts to their specific pace and learning style. If you struggle with listening but excel at reading, the system adjusts in real time.
That sounds incredibly efficient. But does it lack the human element, the mentorship and emotional support that a real teacher provides?
That is the critical challenge. We shouldn't use AI to replace teachers, but to empower them. Imagine a teacher who doesn't spend hours grading repetitive exercises, but instead uses that time to engage in deep discussions and provide emotional guidance. The technology handles the rote memorization and data analysis, leaving the human instructor free to focus on inspiration and critical thinking. It's a synergy, not a substitution.
A synergy of human wisdom and machine efficiency. A very optimistic view indeed. Thank you, Sarah.